Welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. Hope you're doing well out there. If you guys could subscribe, that'd be great, and appreciate you stopping by. We got action today, ladies and gentlemen. Kind of. A little morsel. A little Shams goes out to everybody. He's like, here you go, you peasants. He goes, there's meetings. There's potential meetings and a team and a roster and 4 teams of interest in the Kevin Durant Derby. I actually thought it was a good post today by Giannis Antetokounmpo where he goes, who misses Woj? Which, what a strange tweet from Giannis, right? Almost makes you wonder, like, is what they're selling on Giannis not task at hand. Today, Shams Charania comes out and he drops this article that basically states that the Phoenix Suns are starting to engage in trade discussions with a bevy of teams that have expressed interest in Kevin Durant. Here's the story. The Phoenix Suns and Kevin Durant's business partner, Rich Kleiman, have met multiple times over the past week and are sifting through trade scenarios, sources told ESPN. The two sides are expected to work together on potential trade destinations. The teams that have expressed interest in Durant, sources said, mainly feature the Houston Rockets, the San Antonio Spurs, the Miami Heat, Minnesota Timberwolves, and the New York Knicks. Several wildcard suitors have made inquiries on Durant in the past 7 to 10 days. So that was the big meat and potatoes. Shams then went on Pat McAfee, and he told that for sure, he said Miami has engaged with the Suns over the last week. He mentioned the possibility of pairing, of course, Kevin Durant with Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero. So, sharpen the harpoons, boys. Hopefully, Pat. Just come on, baby. Let's get this done. Now, there were some things that were out there by the fine folks who cover the team on the beat, in regards to the chase for Kevin Durant and where things lie with this. So Barry Jackson, Anthony Chang, all right, the dynamic duo from the Miami Herald. They have an article. You guys can go check out all the deets that they put up. Some great trade scenarios on it. But they put off on the top of the article, months after making a trade offer for Kevin Durant, the Heat again has interest in acquiring the 15-time All-Star forward, but only at the right price, a source of direct knowledge said. Confirmation of the Heat's renewed interest in Durant came after Shams' report on Wednesday. They do add that the New York Post subsequently reported that the Knicks aren't involved in Durant talks at all and aren't pursuing it. All right, so let's look at the teams involved. First, Spurs, Rockets, two teams that are looked upon as having the sexiest assets. Timberwolves, a little bit of a weird thing. You probably have to do a Rudy Gobert flip in there. They have some contracts that are up, but obviously adding him next to, one of the dudes in the league, in Anthony Edwards, who, idolizes him. How long he'll be in Minnesota, I don't know, especially if they don't work out. But those are the options. The interesting thing here with the Heat, they do appear to be the one team in the Eastern Conference, which is one of the interesting factors in all this is like how much does playing in the East matter to Durant, being in a place where you can actually make a run at a title? Does he find that the path would be easier in the Eastern Conference to just see where this goes, where it lies? I think there's also a level, and I really have thought about this, of all the other teams that are pursuing him. They're either at this renewed source of, trying to be on the doorstep. The Rockets, it's been interesting, the offer and interest has felt a little tepid from them on this whole thing, even though they maybe have the most Easter eggs to throw at the Phoenix Suns. And then the Spurs are kind of the darling of everybody because they have Wembanyama, idolizes Durant, have a 14th pick, have some other pieces that aren't their main guys, and of course have De'Aaron Fox still there as well. So I would venture to say, like, if you were just going to go basketball for basketball, yeah, you'd say, I guess the Spurs is the most intriguing thing. But they play in the West. And they are in a stacked Western Conference that if you move Durant to the Spurs, you're only really maybe swapping out from where you are. Now, maybe Wembanyama takes this grand, vast leap. But it is an interesting dynamic there for sure. Not that they wouldn't be a good team, but you just know what a gauntlet it is over there. Him coming over to the Miami Heat, I think a lot of people look at him pairing with Bam and with Tyler, and they think, oh, well, that's not going to do anything. I severely disagree. Like, I just think that in this conference that, is Boston is taking a step back. Who knows what's going to happen with the Cavaliers? They're probably going to have to trade a piece once everybody gets healthy. Boston is essentially in a reset year. Hell, they're even talking about trading Jaylen Brown. You essentially have the defending champ Indiana Pacers. The Knicks are getting rejected left and right. Everybody they're calling out, knocking on the door. I mean, it could be a year for anybody to make a run. The Orlando Magic, the Atlanta Hawks, the Heat, anybody. It feels like the door could be open. And so I have a hard time believing it holds zero weight. So those are the options that are at hand right now. The interesting thing here also has to do with the talks that they're having with Kevin Durant's business partner, Rich Kleiman, essentially the guy's agent, but has a cooler title because he does all his projects, Boardroom, the podcast, the programming, all that. And Rich Kleiman is going to have these talks because Durant is going to be looking for a contract extension. He essentially has this one last year on his deal and would expect that wherever he goes that he would want to sign an extension with that team. Ergo, it does give him a little bit of leverage in this, which is going to spit in the face a little bit of what the Suns want for Kevin Durant. The reports today from Brian Windhorst, he was on NBA Today, and he says, I don't know how robust the offers are going to be. From what I'm told, the Suns are looking for a comparable package for what they traded to get Durant, which is impact players, multiple draft assets, and I'm not sure they're going to be able to generate that because Durant is a couple of years older and his contract is shorter. Mind you, we'll give you a history lesson here. Here was the original trade. Durant was traded for the Nets to the Suns for a package that included Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder, and 4 unprotected first-round picks. There ain't no way in hell that they're getting 4, and I would be thinking it's crazy to think that they would even get 3. 2 is probably the goal for them. I mean, I would imagine it's probably 2, maybe with some conditions, or maybe just 1 unprotected. So where does that put with the Miami Heat? Heat can trade 2 first-round picks. They could essentially trade. They could draft somebody for the Suns at 20 and trade 2 first-round picks. And then you got to get down to what else are they going to want. And before that, there was one other report that was interesting from Tim Reynolds. He said, expect Brooklyn to be in the mix on some level here as well, along with the Spurs and Heat, among others. As Barry and Anthony and others have reported, Miami is very much in the KD game here, just as it was at deadline time. Now, obviously, I don't think Tim is referring to Durant going back to Brooklyn, but what I'd imagine is Brooklyn being a third team, could they shake loose some assets? Could they maybe give a pick back to the Suns? Some kind of draft control like that, a la what did this happen? This happened with Atlanta. This happened with, I believe, Houston, where they kind of were able to be amicable and being and giving back some control of the assets, which obviously would put the Suns in a better spot. So I think that's where Tim is going with that. I have a hard time believing that Durant would be wanting to go back to Brooklyn after how ugly it ended there. Mind you, that had all letterhead. He wanted guys fired. It was not a great look. So what did the Heat have to give up? We've talked about this round and round, so I don't think we should dwell on it too much. But what was out there today, 5 reasons, Ethan Skolnick and the boys over there, shout out. They reported this, when this all happened, but just to refresh, Their offer initially at the trade deadline was Jimmy Butler, Josh Richardson, a first-round pick, and Nikola Jovic. Now, mind you, that wouldn't have been the 20th pick. They didn't have that pick. So it would have been whatever pick in the 2030s that they would have offered up, which would lead you to believe they would probably be willing to offer that again. I think that they probably have to be reside in the fact that 20th pick, maybe that's something that if they have to get a third team involved, that's the little sweetener that gets somebody going. So maybe it does end up being 2 first-round picks, but maybe to different squads or something to get things out here. People have talked about the Heat's hand. I think the Heat's hand's pretty good. It just is a matter of like, all right, what are they really willing to give up for this, right? The big key price. The Heat fans is sick of hearing about the certain price thing, and I get you, dude. We don't want to. You might as well just say, hey, we don't want to get in the game. Don't tease everybody. Don't waste everybody's time. Just go get DeMar DeRozan like you want to, because the Heat fan isn't going to want to hear, oh, the Suns owner is delusional. Hey, off the bat, Heat fan, just so you know, the Suns owner is a crazy person, and he basically has surrounded himself with Michigan State yes men. He has a rookie GM. He has a rookie head coach. He is running that show, and he's going to try and make himself look like the big winner here. We'll see what that ends up being for everybody else, but if the Heat aren't able to get Durant, be ready for that. If that is the explain, oh, this guy's a crazy, he's a wild card, he's a loose cannon. Trust me when I tell you, if they don't get Durant, that's already the route they're going to go as their explanation. The big thing for me, honestly, and I think this is probably the most important out of anything, is does Durant want to be here? Durant seems to hold a lot of cards. If Durant has only a year left and is going to plan on signing his extension, and you already don't want that guy disgruntled, and the whole reason that this is basically happening is they basically went behind his back to go trade him, and he was like, what do you know, that kind of torched the relationship. And relationships, in the words of D-Wade, relationships are important, people. When the relationship's over with Kevin Durant, it's over. I mean, he is, maybe not going to make a stink and dog it like Jimmy Butler does, but he'll eventually get his way. And that's ended up, what happened in Golden State with him hightailing it out of there, and Brooklyn, and now this. This one I could actually understand the hurt there, because it's like, well, he didn't ask you to trade for Bradley Beal, who had no trade clause, and thinking that you guys could make that work out and be in a spot where it was going to be all right. So I think, for me, my gut tells me that, for me, this feels like it's going to come down to the Heat's willingness to include Kel'el Ware. I don't know. It's just felt that way. If they're really going to be in the game for it, you talk about a starting center. That's what they need. And then the Heat have to ask themselves, like, hey, it's a big projection question for them. It's, do you soup it up, draft this guy, and then if you keep a pick and you can go get a bag of big. Now, obviously, the Heat were then being a little bit of a pickle. Like, Bam can play the center, and, depending on whether you're giving up Wiggins or not, like, the Heat will be okay if they have to have Bam play the 5. They will. I mean, they've been there before. Maybe get PJ Tucker. He's out of retirement. Maybe add him to the bench for one last dance with PJ. Love PJ Tucker, man. But I don't know. It just feels like that. Like, I think they're going to make this deal, and it pains me because, I love him. Jovic, dude. It feels like, to me, that they're going to try and do this deal to trade Jovic because of his contract being up quicker, because he's a little bit more of a wild card, because he's a little bit less of a perfect fit. I still think it's a hell of a player for the Phoenix Suns to get. And if the Heat are able to get out of this and still have Jovic and give up Ware, it does make it hurt less, But I feel like this is going to come down to probably giving up 2 of their 3 young guys, Jovic and Jaquez and Ware. I don't think the Heat will do Ware and Jovic. I don't think so. But it feels to me like if you're going to go true assets, it'll be, probably the Duncan Robinson deal so they could shed some payroll, Wiggins, and it feels like it's going to come down to, are they willing to give up Kalel for him? If they are, I have a hard time believing the Suns would go away from that, because that's a talented young big that they're going to put with their team, man, and they're going to have him for the next whatever many years. And while it's going to hurt to lose Kevin Durant, you're going to have a nice piece of that. You have no fear of losing Devin Booker. And then if you're the Heat, you kind of got to look at it and be like, all right, we gave up a first-round pick. We gave up our first-round pick from last year. We had this, half-season rocket with Kalel Ware, and we're doing it to try and push the terms in with Durant. And I think there's some level of the Heat that would want to do this and have some kind of chest left, because they're not going to have cap space if they extend Durant. And so if there is a Luka, if there is an Ant, if there is a, if there is a Giannis that shakes loose and is out there, I mean, this is, you're basically part with your best piece if you have to come down with it. So it is a debate for the Heat. Don't get me wrong. It's not like this layup answer for them, because you have to wonder, like, all right, is going after 37-year-old Kevin Durant, who is awesome, who is a legend, who would revitalize the fan base, who would be perfect for your two All-Stars, would make you relevant in an irrelevant conference right now. Would that be worth giving up your second team all-rookie, and a future first-round pick? Would it be worth it? And then basically say you're kind of like, maybe you'll get some kind of lucky bounce of like the pressure game, and maybe you'll be more willing to part with one of the other pieces. But the Heat do have to ask themselves that. And it's a tough one, man. It's a tough one. I from my standpoint, I think it's a harder one to give up Ware, just because it feels like it's been so hard to find the center that fits next to Bam. Jovic, as much as I love him, I just don't see Eric Spoelstra in a world where he's going to use all three of those guys together. So that's why it makes me a little bit more willing to part with him. And I say that as somebody who adores him as a basketball player, the way he goes about his work, all of that stuff. Like, it's going to crush me to lose him. And I know I get a lot of debate on this. People are like, oh, you hype up Jovic too much. You talk too much about it. Hey, first of all, shut up. I can like whatever basketball players I want. And two, the guy broke his hand this year. Like, what are we talking about? For everybody who sat here and is rightfully given Tyler the patience that he has, this guy's just turned 22 years old and broke his hand last year and really looked like he was on his way to playing some of his best basketball. So I don't want to hear the doubters on Jovic. I just think you sound like a fool. I do. The thing that does concern me about this dance, like if what Windhorst is saying is true, I do think there is a little bit of urgency here for the Heat, right? Like, don't make this a drag-out thing. Find out whether or not you actually have a chance, because there's all these teams. They always want to put you in it. It feels like it's a leverage play. Don't get played here, Miami Heat. If the Spurs are going to get them, figure out in the game if you're in, and then get the hell out. Because you know what? I don't know what the hell Giannis is going to do. I don't know where the hell we're going to be in the middle of this season. People keep saying this is going to be the craziest summer ever. But the Durant thing, this is, from my standpoint, the Heat, I'm like, figure out what the owner wants. I know you're going to put the screws to him. Find something that you both think is pretty reasonable. And if you really are in the game for him, then make it happen. But I'm not saying go all in with every asset. But I'm saying, like, give your offer and get out. Do not make this linger all summer. Do not make this a summer of Dame. The fan base can't take it. They'll be too pissed off. And then figure out what your pivot move is if you're not. But I don't think, people keep saying that this is going to be done by draft night. Yeah, I think that's the appropriate thing. Like, let's find out on draft night if the Heat are going to be having the 20th pick not having the 20th pick? Will they be drafting a new center with the 20th pick? I don't know. But it is exciting. It's always exciting to be in the chase. This is a guy that the team has chased probably more than anybody. Chased more than LeBron, chased more than Jimmy. Jimmy was 2 chases. LeBron was, I guess, technically 2 chases. Wade was like, they had the We Want Wade thing, and I guess technically it was like 3 chases. So Durant, I guess, officially becomes the guy they've chased the most now, with 2 free agencies, a trade deadline, and now a summer to see if they can get him. But look, we know what the reports. The reports are that the Suns are, or the Spurs are reportedly the favorite. If that's the case, find out quick and then get your answer. If you really are in the game, talk to his guy. Now, was I a psycho and looked at all the people Rich Kleiman follows? I'm like, oh. I go to Rich Kleiman's Instagram and I'm like, oh, let's see who Rich Kleiman follows. Does he like? And he follows like 4,000 people, so I don't even know if this was a good project for me or not. Probably seemed like a huge waste of time. But if you were wondering, D Wade, UD, Caron Butler, Jaime Jaquez, Terry Rozier, Kevin Love, Davion Mitchell, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Justice Winslow, Andrew Wiggins, Bam's agent, Alonzo Mourning. These are all like almost mutual follows. Tim Hardaway. So now again, he follows a gazillion people. Mike Miller, Ray Allen. Does follow Anthony Edwards too, though. Does he follow Wemby? He probably follows Wemby too. Let's see. Look. Kleiman. Wemby. Damn it. Follows Wemby too. Stop following everybody, Rich Kleiman. This has begun. My summer of sickness has begun. Here we go. I'm ready to get hurt again.